Sorry, wrong franchise. So, friends, welcome back to the next part of this series. I have been meaning to get back to this for quite some time, but so now we are back for part 2, and today we are going to sort Christine into her Hogwarts house. The last time we sorted Eric into his, so if you want to see that video, I'll link it up at the top of the screen. Now, as you can see, I am all ready to go to Hogwarts myself in my Ravenclaw attire. If you've watched the channel before, you know that I'm a very proud Ravenclaw. Down to even my tie and tie pin, courtesy of my fantastic boyfriend who actually bought me the Harry Potter like suitcase thing, the customizable suitcase that has like my initials on it and a Hogwarts letter with my name on it and all this cool stuff that came with it. He's the best. Forgive my tying abilities. I've literally never tied a tie before in my life. So this was a first attempt situation. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So we are back to what is the official Pottermore quiz. It's just not on the actual Wizarding World site because you can only take the quiz once per account, and I have obviously already taken mine. So I found this website that actually has the official quiz, which we will be using. I also wanted to, before we started, make predictions on what house I think everyone is going to end up in. So for Christine, I have decided that my guess is Hufflepuff. And a lot of you have agreed with me on that in the comments of previous videos. So she got to be a little Gryffindor-like at the end, but as we did with the Eric quiz, we're talking more about Christine as she is throughout the majority of the novel, not who she kind of evolves into at the end, because they are dynamic characters, everybody kind of progresses and changes throughout the story. Okay, well, let's get started. So a muggle confronts you and says that they are sure you are a witch or wizard. Do you tell them you are worried about their mental health and offer to call a doctor? Agree and walk away, leaving them to wonder whether you are bluffing or not? Agree and ask whether they'd like a free sample of a jinx, or ask what makes them think so. Okay, I think Christine in this situation might panic a little bit, and probably wouldn't be able to come up with anything terribly witty in response. So I think she would probably just be like, you know, ask them why they thought so. All right, if you would invent a potion, what would the potion give you? Glory, love, power, or wisdom? I think definitely love. In this one, Christine was very tender-hearted, although she didn't exactly have a too much trouble finding love, did she? She had some choices. Black or white? Pretty sure she would pick white. What are you most looking forward to learning at Hogwarts? Flying on a broomstick, transfiguration, hexes and jinxes, all about magical creatures and how to befriend/care for them, apparition and disapparition, secrets about the castle, any area of magic that I can. I think I could see Christine answering care for magical creatures. I think with her being as tender-hearted as she was, that that would be probably the best answer for her. If you could have any power, which would you choose? Superhuman strength, speak to animals, invisibility, change the past, power to change your appearance, or power to read minds. Okay, so I can see two on this one, actually. I could see her wanting the power to speak to animals. I could also see her wanting the power to change the past. And I'm not talking about like going and changing the fact that she didn't pick Eric, because again, we're not doing the end or afterward. I'm thinking maybe not believe that Eric is the angel of music. Maybe like, she would want to, go back and tell herself, don't trust him or something like that. I feel like that would kind of be a thought process that she would have during the course of the story. I do think that she might have wished that she hadn't been so naive and hadn't trusted him as much as she did, and maybe thought that if she hadn't and had, then a lot of shit would not be going down that is. So I might say power to change the past on that one. The sound of which instrument do you like the most? Trumpet, violin, drums, or piano? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say probably not trumpet or drums. And we're gonna go with violin because her father played the violin. I have a feeling she prefers to hear that instrument. Not to mention, she also gets very entranced when Eric plays the violin. So I think that's probably one of the easiest questions we've had so far. Which would you rather be? Imitated, envied, liked, trusted, feared, praised? So I could see liked, trusted, or praised. Prior to Eric getting her, taking her down and exposing who he was, I think praised would definitely be a good answer. And even during while she was being taught by him, I think she very much wanted his approval. Prior to him even, coming to her, I think that is something that would apply. She also probably would like to be liked and trusted, but I think with the absence of her father, she did kind of crave approval, even after Eric did take her down. I think she secretly still wanted that that approval from him. She still craved that approval and maybe didn't really fully know why, but she did. And I have kind of been in that situation where like I really shouldn't care at this point, but you do. I actually might go with praised on that one. That's digging really deep into her psychology, but that's kind of what this quiz is supposed to do. You're supposed to really get down into it. Now, when you're taking the quiz yourself, you're supposed to just go with your first instinct. And, so that's how that would normally work. But if you're answering for someone else, you kind of got to get inside their head. So, obviously I would answer the same way as Christine. So I might need to dig into her psychology a little bit more before I answer. So I think, I do think praised would be good in this situation. 4 goblets are placed before you. Which would you choose to drink? The smooth, thick, richly purpled drink that gives off a delicious smell of chocolate and plums. The mysterious black liquid that gleams like ink and gives off fumes that make you see strange visions. The golden liquid so bright that it hurts the eye, which makes sunspots dance all around the room. The foaming, frothing, silvery liquid that sparkles as though containing ground diamonds. Okay. I kind of feel like Christine would either drink the one that smells like chocolate and plums. She also could be very dazzled by the golden liquid. You know, kind of like she was with Eric. She was very just taken aback by him, especially, really both when he was just the angel of music and when he revealed himself. So it's kind of tricky. I might need a minute on this one. Damn, you guys. I want to hear you guys debate in the comments over this one. Honestly, I think I might go with the golden liquid. I know this is a Gryffindor answer. I can always kind of tell which house it's supposed to give off. And I do think that Christine did have some Gryffindor, especially if you read the book, she had a lot more of a backbone than in like the musical and a lot of other stories that, but I do like to go off of the novel whenever I do these kinds of quizzes, so I actually might go with the golden liquid on this one, just because she was so easily dazzled by, things like that. All right, which of the following would you most hate people to call you? Ordinary, ignorant, cowardly, or selfish? I don't think she would like any of those things. As far as ordinary goes, I think she very much wanted to be more than she was, like, in the beginning before Eric came to her. I think she was very tired of being looked over, passed over, and just being considered blah. However, I feel like that changed after Eric came and got her, and she was one of those the grass is always greener type situations where she was like, I would rather go back to my boring life. So I think I might cross out ordinary. Ignorant, I mean, I think she would be very irritated by that, because Raoul does make her feel like he thinks that she's ignorant. Like, especially if you go by like the moment at Mama Valerius's house, and he's trying to make these, choices for her, and he's, saying that she needs to be protected, and he's just getting kind of controlling in that particular scene. It's one of the scenes where I hate Raoul the most and where I like Christine the most, is because she kind of lashes back out at him and is like, how dare you? And she's like, I can take care of myself, even though she does know who Eric is and has been through all of the trauma. At that point, she's still very like, bitch, I got this, I don't need you. Although there is a little bit of her also still fighting feelings for Raoul at that point. There's some interesting psychology behind that moment. Sorry, I went on a rant here. That, like, the hair video, it's very easy to do. So I don't think she would want to be thought of as ignorant, because she she was kind of firm with both Ral and Eric in a lot of places. And, you know, she didn't like that either one of them kind of treated her like a child at times. And, you know, Eric being as big of a genius as he is, I think it kind of made her feel a little bit inferior. And so I think that's a valid answer. Cowardly, I don't think she was as concerned about, like, I'm sure she wouldn't want to be called a coward, but I'm sure that wasn't something that was at the forefront of her mind. She was just trying to get through the situation. And then selfish, she was just a very kind-hearted person. And so I don't think she would have ever wanted to be called selfish. And I think that's one of the things that factored into her struggle with, you know, removing herself from Eric was, you know, was she being selfish, you know, in the whole situation of who she was choosing in the end. So this is another tough one. Like, there's a lot of psychology that went into the ignorant answer, but there's also just the baseline of who Christine is as a person. And I think being called selfish would be more upsetting to her deep down than ignorant, although I do feel they're fairly equal. I think selfish is probably our answer here. Again, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this one in particular. I just think that just as loving and kind as she was as a person, I think that would be very offensive to her and make her very sad if somebody thought of her as selfish. So you enter an enchanted garden. What would be the most curious to examine first? The silver-leafed tree bearing golden apples, the bubbling pool in the depths of which something luminous is swirling, the statue of an old wizard with a strangely twinkling eye, the fat red toadstools that appear to be talking to each other. I think she would think that the fat red toadstools were very cute, and if they're like talking to each other, I do think she would be very like, oh, that's so cute, look at that. But the silver leaf tree bearing golden apples and the bubbling pool in which the depth of something luminous is swirling, again, she was very easily dazzled by things. Oh, wow. Christine is so much more difficult than Eric. Like, holy shit. I didn't have this much trouble with Eric. As far as I remember, it was fairly easy to do process of elimination. Oh, this one really sucks. I feel like what Christine would say about herself would probably be the fat red toadstools, even though if we delve into the psychology of her, it would be probably something, you know, in the depths, or the silverleaf tree that, you know, is like, ooh. So in this case, I think I'm really gonna have to answer it as if she were taking the test herself, which I really should be doing the whole time, but also I do want to take in the psychology because the sorting hat sees more about you than you know about yourself, and that's why you get sorted as opposed to just picking your house most of the time. And of course, this wasn't the case with Harry, but that was a very important differentiation between Gryffindor and Slytherin, is what you wanted to be versus what you currently are. But the sorting hat knows more about you than you know about yourself, and that's why it sorts you as opposed to just picking. So it's kind of difficult. But I feel like, you know, the fat red toadstools, I feel like not only would that be kind of her first thought, I also think that is also something to be dazzled by. And, you know, that's what we've been saying is, she's very easily like, ooh, shiny. But on a more emotional level. I think I'm gonna go with the toadstools because I feel like that is something that she would just be like, oh, that's so cute. Forest or river? Again, this is one of those where you kind of have to be the person in order to really answer this one. I feel like forest might kind of freak her out or something, so maybe we'll go with river on that. After you have died, what would you like people to do when they hear your name? Think with admiration of you achievements. I don't care. It's only while I'm alive that counts. Ask for stories about your adventures. Miss you, but smile. I'm definitely thinking it's miss you, but smile. I don't think she would want people to be sad. 4 boxes are placed before you. Which would you try and open? A small pewter box, unassuming and plain, with a scratched message upon it that reads, I open only for the worthy. The ornate gold casket standing on clawed feet, whose inscription warns that both secret knowledge and unbearable temptation lie within. The gleaming jet box with a silver lock and key marked with the mysterious rune that you know to be the mark of Merlin. And the small tortoiseshell box embellished with gold, inside which some small creature seems to be squeaking. Okay, she would definitely go for the last one, because if she thought that there was some little animal in there, like trapped in there or something, she'd be like, oh my god! Yeah, she'd definitely go for that one, I think. Late at night, walking alone down the street, you hear a peculiar cry that you believe to be a magical source. Do you withdraw to the shadows to await developments while mentally reviewing the most appropriate defensive and offensive spells should trouble occur? Draw your wand and try to discover the source. Proceed with caution. Keep one hand on concealed wand and an eye out for disturbance. Draw your wand and stand your ground. I would say it's between 1 and 3, because I don't feel like she would seek out the source. I feel like she'd be kind of freaked out and probably wouldn't want to seek it out or deal with it unless she absolutely had to. So I'm thinking they'll withdraw to the shadows and just sit there and think, okay, crap, what do I need to do if this thing finds me? Which is interesting, like kind of a Ravenclaw answer, but I think it's also like it's a little bit of a Hufflepuff answer as well. If you were attending Hogwarts, which pet would you choose to take with you? Toad, owl, or cat? Don't think it would be a toad. I feel like Christy would probably take a cat. You and 2 friends need to cross a bridge guarded by a river troll who insists on fighting one of you before he will let all of you pass. Suggest that all 3 of you fight. Suggest drawing lots. Volunteer. Attempt to confuse the troll. I think that she would probably suggest that everybody fight. Because, like, it's kind of going back to, like, her not wanting to be selfish. And, you know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, with the power of friendship. I don't know. But it seems like she would want to, she'd be scared to face him alone, but she would also not want to, like, run away and be selfish. So I think she would probably suggest that everybody fight together. How would you like to be known in history? The bold, the good, the wise, the great. I think the good. Which nightmare would frighten you the most? Waking up to find that neither of your friends or family have any idea who you are. An eye in the keyhole of the dark, windowless room in which we are locked. Just forced to speak in a silly voice. standing on top of something very high. And, okay. So I'm thinking it's 1 or 2. I think the first one is very much a prior to Eric coming to her, and I think her fears kind of changed a little bit, and an eye in the keyhole in the dark windows from feeling trapped. So it's just kind of once her psychology changed, like who she is as a person in general, I would say, waking up to find that nobody has any idea who she is. But also she was facing a lot of trauma throughout most of the book. And so the idea of being, which was kind of the sellers of the opera, and, Eric always watching her and stuff, I think, that really freaked her out. So again, this is a hard one because this is the problem with dynamic characters is, do you do before the traumatic event happened, during the traumatic event, or after the traumatic event? And so we're kind of trying to go during the traumatic event, but who she is during the traumatic event is not necessarily who she is as a person, if that makes sense. God, this is so much harder than I had thought when I first decided to do this series. Another one that I definitely want your opinions on. Oh my god, we're at 35 minutes and we still have 10 more questions to go. See, the first one is a very Hufflepuff answer, I think. Give me a second. Okay, you guys. I think here's where I am with this. While the second one would absolutely terrify her during the events of the trauma, after Eric had taken her down, well, I think that would be a very, very intense fear, and highly appropriate. Family and everything was like everything to her, and to get her through the trauma that she was facing in dealing with Eric, she was dependent on, she became dependent on Raoul. Mama Valerius and Raoul were like the only people she had, and so I think if during those events she woke up and the only people she had left didn't know who she was and she was left with literally no one, I think that would have just broken her. So, completely. So, that's very much kind of who she is as a person, no matter what. And if you think about it, if she did not have Raoul or Mama Valerius to, get her through all of this, while this was going on, she probably wouldn't have made it. So we're gonna go with the first one. Which road tempts you the most? The wide, sunny, grassy lane, the twisting, leaf-strewn path through the woods, the cobble street lined with ancient buildings, the narrow, dark, lantern-lit alley. I think we can cancel the last one for sure. I think we're definitely going to go with the first one, the wide, sunny, grassy lane, because after being, down in the cellars, all she wanted was to just be free and just wide open spaces and the sun on her face and shit. So I think that one's fairly easy. One of your housemates has cheated in a Hogwarts exam by using the spelling quill. All right. And, oh, now he has come top of the class in charms, beating you into second place. Professor Flitwick is suspicious of what happened. He draws you to one side after his lesson and asks whether or not your classmate used a forbidden quill. What do you do? Okay, I remember this question with Eric, and I know we chose he ought to ask the classmate. I do also feel like Christine might kind of be afraid to tell on somebody. I do feel it was very much in her nature to not, to avoid conflict. And if but she was also kind of a stand-up person. In certain situations anyway. I think she would probably want to do number 3. Like she would want to do the right thing, but I don't think she would have the resolve to, actually rat somebody out and cause, conflict. So I think it might be the first one. Heads or tails? This is another one where it's like, you have to be the person. So it doesn't really matter what we pick here because we're not Christine. We don't know what the first thing that popped into her mind would be. And I don't really see any psychology behind this question that we could go off of. Maybe we'll say tails just because heads involved Eric's face and maybe she didn't want to think about that. I don't know. That's all I got. Once every century, the flutterby bush produces flowers that adapt their scent to attract the unwary. If it lured you, would it smell of a crackling log fire, fresh parchment, home, the sea? Oh boy. We all know it's going to be between 3 and 4. And we all know why. She misses home, she misses Sweden, she misses her father. And then there's also the sea, because that's where she met Raoul. Okay. I think I'm going to pick the sea, and here's why. The sea doesn't just remind her of Raoul. It would also remind her of her father because she was walking with her father when she came across Raoul. So her father is involved in that memory, although that was not at home when that occurred. That was on a beach in France. It still had aspects of home because her father was still alive and was there. But I'm also second guessing myself on that. Because during the events, I think all she wanted was to go home. But I think I am going to do the sea just because it involves 2 just very important things all in one. Which of the following do you find the most difficult to deal with? Hunger, cold, loneliness, being ignored, boredom. I think it's definitely loneliness because that was like a huge problem for her prior to Eric showing up. She just felt completely alone without her dad. And she also felt very alone during the events going on because, Raoul didn't fully understand, and Mama Valerius didn't even know the details. She didn't know exactly what was going on and how bad it was. She had Eric, but there was a barrier there. Like, she couldn't sit there and just explain to him what was going on in her head during that time, because she didn't want to trigger him. Which of the following would you most like to study? Trolls, merpeople, goblins, centaurs, vampires, ghosts, or werewolves? During the actual events, don't think she would care quite so much about ghosts, because she knew that Phantom of the Opera was just a dude. I feel like she would be very interested in merpeople, not necessarily the Harry Potter merpeople, because they were kind of scary looking. She might, if we're going by Harry Potter specific creatures, like what they looked like in Harry Potter as opposed to just what we commonly think of them, I actually might go with centaurs, because they were pretty gentle creatures as long as they weren't provoked. I feel like she might go with centaurs just because everything else is kind of scary in the Harry Potter world, except for the ghosts. The ghosts are cool. But I think she has some trauma with ghosts and might want to avoid that one regardless. So I think we'll go with centaurs. Dawn or dusk? I think Dawn would probably think she liked the daylight quite a bit. Left or right? I don't know which was the first direction they took when they went into the cellars, because it's probably the opposite. I don't know, right, I guess. It's just another one of those, like, you kind of have to be the person and that initial just first instinct kind of thing. All right, a troll has gone berserk in the headmaster's study at Hogwarts. Now, I actually would like to take back my answer that I gave on Eric's, because I kind of thought about it in the wrong way. On his, okay, so it's, a troll has gone berserk in the headmaster's study at Hogwarts. It's about to smash, crash, and tear several irreplaceable items and treasures, including a cure for dragonpox, which the headmaster has nearly perfected, student records going back 1,000 years, and a mysterious handwritten book full of strange runes believed to have belonged to Merlin. In which order would you rescue these objects? So I'm gonna actually go back and redo Eric's. I actually put the cure for dragonpox last because I was like, oh, he doesn't give a shit about other people, really. But he was a man of science. And if he could help cure something, like an illness, I think he would be super interested in that. So I actually might change that one to first, and then do the runes, because he was also kind of into all the witchcrafty stuff, occult business as well. Especially if he thought it belonged to Merlin. And then the student records, I think, because I don't think he was that sentimental of a person. And while it might be to him like, oh, that kind of sucks, I just don't think it would bother him quite as much as the other things. So that's actually what I'm changing my answer to on Eric. I hope it didn't make too much of a difference in the results. But okay, now Christine, let's get back on track here. I think she might go for the cure first as well, with the good intention of helping people. So she would save the cure for a different reason than Eric, I think, but I do believe she would go for the cure first, just because she was a kind-hearted person. And then she was a sentimental person and would probably care if records going 1,000 years back were to get destroyed. I think that would bother her greatly. And then the book about Merlin, she wasn't like into all that magical stuff, and you know, she was like very Christian, and so I feel like that would probably be the last one that she really cared about. Probably wouldn't really want to save that one at all, maybe. So we'll go Cure Records book. Moon or stars? I think I might say stars on that one, actually. I just get a vibe. Not really any particular psychology, it's more just a vibe. Ravenclaw. Now this is something I did not see coming at all. I was pegging her as Hufflepuff or Gryffindor. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be Slytherin, like that's obvious, but Ravenclaw is so close to Slytherin in a way. I mean, as is Gryffindor, because, you know, but we're not talking about Slytherin, we're talking about Ravenclaw. Okay, so let's read the thing. Let's just kind of ignore what we generally know about Ravenclaws, you know, wit, learning, and wisdom. Those really just weren't her first priorities. But if you read this description, you can kind of see how it works. So you probably know that some of Ravenclaw's most renowned members include Gilderoy Lockhart, and Luna Lovegood. I do see Christine being a lot like Luna Lovegood, and when you think of Luna, you would think of her as kind of a Hufflepuff, right? Like, she's just so cute and kind and good-hearted and, you know, just has the best intentions. And so Luna Lovegood has a lot of Hufflepuff qualities despite being a Ravenclaw, and so that actually might kind of, you know, that could lend itself to, you know, Christine as well. And then Ravenclaw's Grey Lady is the least talkative Hogwarts house ghost. Again, very much Christine. And Ravenclaws are also not very social. We are introverts, which Christine was. So while the three main, you know, wit, learning, wisdom don't seem to make a whole lot of sense for Christine, there are things that do make sense about it. If you think about people like Luna, despite all of her Hufflepuff qualities being in Ravenclaw, the fact that Ravenclaws are not very, you know, social people, and prefer to be, you know, alone doing their own thing. The Ravenclaw room, common room, boasts the most stunning views of the castle grounds. Well, she definitely liked a big open, you know, she could see everything type of, you know. Again, I did not see this coming at all. And, you know, some of the answers that I had a really hard time answering may have directly affected this. So maybe I answered some of those questions wrong in regard to Christine, or maybe there's just that hidden resolve in there that she wanted, you know, more. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Were you as surprised by this as I was? Go Ravenclaw. You know, would you have answered things differently? And, you know, if you want to, take the quiz yourself as Christine and tell me if you got a different result or if you got the same result and agree with the things that I chose. So I will leave that to you guys, and I will leave this there. Just a friendly reminder, link to merch is in the description below. And I finally found the picture of our phantom friend that so wonderfully has supported this channel by purchasing merch and showing off his Little Lottie Wanders family pride. So good on you. Also, you can become a member of the channel by clicking the join button, and that has kind of replaced my Patreon. It's something that I can just keep up with a little bit better. But you get the same perks as you would have if you were donating to my Patreon. And so you get access to early videos, exclusive videos that nobody else is going to see, and just all kinds of awesome stuff. So if you want to help support the channel and get some really cool stuff, click that join button. It's only $2. So, all right, friends, I love you very much. We will continue this series later, and then next we will continue with Rao, obviously. Oh boy. And so, stay fantastic with a PH, wear your house proudly, and keep your hand at the level of your eyes.